So, those of you who have actually published a book, you know how much work it is. Not just to write the book and get the stories just right and the concepts just right and the characters just right, but man, getting it through the publishing process takes so much time and energy and decisions and support. And you know, at Save by Story, we love being that support team, really helping our authors to make the best decisions possible for their project and move through the process with as much ease as we can create for them. And sometimes we don't have all of the team members. This happens especially when the author needs an illustrator. And so today I have the opportunity to interview Mima, also known as Lori Giese, and her illustrator and her illustrator's mom, because this was quite a journey. All right, Lori, I'm so excited to finally meet her illustrator and her amazing mom. So I would love to turn it over to you to sort of share the story of illustration because this was a big journey for you and how you found Brylee and that whole part of the journey.
Sure, I'd be happy to. I had worked with a couple of different illustrators before then. We'd tried doing some sketches, and then we ran into some costs there on trying to get those into um, the layout for the book, how that would work, and the expense of that. We decided right away that that wasn't going to work. And then I tried Fiverr, tried a couple people there, and one person had a motorcycle accident, and then one of their islands got hit by a tsunami and lost all of the data. And I mean, like, it just seemed to be just something every turn. I just kept trying to find all these different people, and nobody was able to stick. I just wasn't the
Mhm.
right person. And that's what I finally decided. I finally had to say, my mantra, embrace the moment. And so I just had to embrace it and say, the timing's not right. And when it is and the right person and I connect, then, in God's timing, it'll happen. And that first started back in like September and then October. And we were looking at January for a book launch. And I was getting more and more nervous. And that's why I had to just say, I'm just going to embrace it. It'll be okay. And so right after Christmas, I put a post out on Facebook and said, hey, does anybody have know any illustrators? I'm looking for someone. And I got a few people off of that, and I checked, and then um, didn't didn't really connect with anyone. Some people said they would send me names, and other people I did connect with, and they just weren't a good match. And then after the first of the year, I sent off another Facebook post. And I'm like, hey, just checking in. And anybody got somebody that they know that likes to do art? And I think I actually was asking another question at the time. And Tracy, who her and I worked together through church several years earlier, she that her mom was really interested. Her mom has always wanted to do a children's book, and her mom's an artist, and her mom's a fantastic artist. She's great, but she does sketches. It was all, come full circle, and I was back to square one again. And I'm like, okay, but the other thing is, we're going to have to figure out how to do this digitally, and you have to be really good at faces. Because I knew I had all three girls and Mima and Papa, and you've got to be able to draw faces. And she said, my granddaughter Brylee is really good. And I'm like texting Tracy going, is Brylee your daughter? Because I mean, like, she's got other kids, right? So is Brylee? I'm just trying to remember all the kids' names, but they were so little when I knew them. And when they lived in Colorado, they moved to Utah. And so I was just trying to remember whose kid was who and which one she was. And she says, yeah, let me get you, she pulls up some of Brylee's work with Brylee's permission and sent it off to me. And I'm like, oh my heavens, this is amazing. And the fact that she's 16 is so on brand that I'm working with kids and youth and, trying to help them to achieve and succeed and to figure out they can do hard things. And I think at times, sometimes this was a hard thing for you.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute. I was just so grateful. It was like the heavens opened and the angels sang. It was like it was just amazing. It was like I can't believe this. I have finally found my person.
Yeah. It's so crazy how big of a journey this publishing journey is and all of the highs and lows. And I just remember this part of the section of the journey feeling so long for you. Like, why is this so hard? All of our sessions were trying to process the frustration around it because had a vision like all authors do, and I just the part where she's a young person and like being on brand, it was just perfection. So what was the best part of working with Brylee?
I would have to say I love working with Brylee. Brylee takes criticism really well, and I try to make sure that I tell her the good things that I like, the things I really like about her drawings, but is there any way we can, tweak this or can we do that? And she has been amazing to work with. She has tried to accomplish everything I have asked of her. And whether that means, hey, can I give you a call so I can explain this over the phone a little better? She's always been open to that. She's personable, she's friendly, she's so talented. And I don't know. I think Brylee's pretty amazing. I'm pretty impressed with Brylee.
Yay, Brylee, we get to hear from you now. How does it feel to
Okay.
hear all of that? We're gonna put you on the spot. But you are so talented. We've all, we have our community over here, and it's really fun when we get to see burgeoning talent, come into the space. And so I'm curious about you and when you started with art and when you kind of knew that this was something that you wanted to pursue, maybe more than other young people are interested in.
Well, I've always really known I was an artist. Ever since ever since I can remember, I've been drawing. And I I don't know. I'm not planning on becoming a professional artist, but like I'm planning on becoming a psychologist actually. So it's always just been such a nice hobby to go to, and I just have so much fun doing it that I don't know, it's just it's so I don't know, it's fun. Yeah.
Nice. How old were you when you said you've kind of always known, but have you
hmm
done other projects? Have you entered contests? Or is it simply a hobby?
Um, I do I don't know, if it comes to me, then I'll do it. I've entered school art contests. Like right here, there's a
Mhm.
little ribbon. I won second place in watercolor. So I don't know. It's just a really fun thing. I do it in school all the time, and it's just a place where I can relax and like flesh out my creativity, I guess.
Nice. I love that you're going to become a psychologist. What inspired
hmm
that?
I think I've always loved the idea of helping people. I think I probably get that from my mom. She loves that. um, and I just I don't know. I love I don't it's not that, maybe that's not the right word for it, but I love mental health kind of stuff. It just interests me so much that I would love to learn more about it. I've taken a few classes in psychology and I love those classes so much. They were up there with art classes. They were amazing. So I'm just really excited.
Maybe you'll be able to combine them someday.
Yeah, maybe.
It could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, more on that later. I'm going off script. I'm sorry. I love talking to young people about their dreams. So, Tracy, how about you? When did you know that your daughter was an artist? Is this something that you saw early, or, I don't know, for me, my mom always foresaw me being a writer, but she didn't actually see any of my writing. I kind of kept it close until much later. So I'm always curious to hear those mommy insights.
Yeah. So when you asked Brylee this, I kind of expected her to say something like when I was 13 or, a little bit older. Um, because I was thinking, oh, like I knew right away. It's been fun to see that evolve through the different ways that, whether it be digital or watercolor or, but in the beginning, of course, it was crayons or those little, LCD writing screens. And I would take pictures of her little drawings, on my phone so I could keep them before she deleted, hit the button. But her very earliest drawings were always of elephants. She was obsessed with elephants, even at like 2 years old. And I'll be honest, I couldn't really tell what they were in the beginning, besides the trunk. There was a trunk on something, but um, she she showed talent really early on. I mean, even as a 2 and 3-year-old, she was starting to draw beyond that of a typical toddler. So it's been really fun to see that progress into now. I mean, I hate to break it to you, Brylee, but I would call you kind of a professional artist at this point. So.
I mean,
I would agree.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
kind of enter the
I'm
world
really proud of it.
when you start to get paid, right? When you start to get paid for your work, there's a little bit of
Yeah.
professionalism going on. Plus all the other stuff that you got to do, right? Because it's not just getting paid, it's contracts and figuring out
mhm.
ownership and all of those things. And um,
And management.
management, right?
Well, what 16-year-old can say that they have a job like this, that she gets to make her own hours? And she was just telling me last week how, she said, I don't know anybody my age that can, kind of call the shots as far as timing and, when she decides to do it and just do it from her room. And it's pretty awesome. I think it's been a great first experience for her.
Mhm. Yep. Amazing. So what did you enjoy the most about this project, Brylee? Did you have a favorite illustration or, you know, um, is there a part of the process that you liked more than others?
Hmm. I think my favorite part of the process would be sketching, I guess. Like it's just like that's where all the creativity is. Because that's where the flow is. I could just like get into the mood and like go, go, go. And then after that I've gotta like redraw it a few times kind of a thing. And yeah. My favorite chapter would probably be, I think, chapter 10, the Candyland story, just because I got to draw a horse. I don't know. And I like drawing animals from time to time, so it was fun.
How about you? Oh no, I was going to ask you, was there anything that really stretched you? When you said horse, I was thinking, oh, maybe that because that was a new thing or was a hard thing. Was there anything that Mima asked you to do that you were thinking, I don't know. That's a stretch.
Well, okay, voice crack. From the very beginning, I was kind of nervous about doing backgrounds because a lot of my personal art, I just don't draw them. That's not the most enjoyable process for me. So I was a little nervous about that because I didn't have any experience doing it. But I eventually got into a just like got into I don't know how to explain it. I just like I had to redo it over and over, and I finally figured out how I'm going to do every background, and I did it over and over again so that they would match. I think it was hard, definitely, but it was okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you realized about your artistic leanings or anything through this process? Like, did you learn anything about yourself or sometimes when I work on projects, I'm like, oh, I love this part of the project, but I'm not going to take on any more projects that have this sort of element to it, right? It's kind of like getting into your real zone. You kind of figure that out when you take projects on.
Yeah. Um, hmm. I don't know. I don't know. Can't think of anything.
Cool. That sounds like a perfect fit project then.
I don't know. Yeah, it worked out. So,
Yeah. How about you, Mima? What stretched you?
I want to ask her if she's ready for book two. We haven't done
well,
yet.
have you started writing it?
No, I'm trying to get through the launch first. So
Gotcha.
that's my first goal. You've got a few weeks. Take a breather.
Yeah.
Mm,
Am I ready for it? I think so. It'll be nice to just like draw while you do the chapters. I think that'll make it easier.
I agree. I agree. Amanda, I don't remember what you asked me. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Oh, I was going to ask, were you stretched through this process working on illustrations?
Um,
Once you got to illustration, I saw all of the stretch that happened getting to the right illustrator, but through the process, again, like I was asking Brylee, sometimes it's a matter of learning, even as an author, like what's the style? Because this becomes part of your brand. It's part of everything moving forward. And so it's like it could be a learning process for the illustrator, but also a big learning process for the author, whether that's in the art or in the process with the illustrator. Like, oh, next time, I just heard Brylee say, next time I'm really excited to do this as we go through the writing because you were in a little bit of a time crunch with this project. So, how about you, Lori? What was that for you?
I would say there were a couple of things. One of them was I saw it in my head. I mean, like we called them Candyland stories. Of course, for the book, we can't use Candyland. We had to use we came up with Confetti Kingdom, and those stories I've been doing since Aubrey, who is Sophie in the book, and she is now 13, and we've been doing them since she was a baby. So we've been doing these Candyland Confetti Kingdom stories for years. And in my mind, they were always a certain way, or the way I've seen the girls, or, growing up and their expressions and such were always a certain way. And so probably the one of the biggest things that I had to stretch was give Brylee the ability to let her creativity flow, not be so set on I want it this way. Now there were some times when I was pretty like, no, it's not quite what I want. I really want to see this or that, or a certain angle of it, certain background, whatever. But um, just giving her the ability to come up with ideas, and I was blown away. Like she came up with some pretty amazing ideas most of the time, and I'd go, run with it, like go with it. I'm good with that. But it was totally out of realm of what I had seen, the way I had seen it, but it fit so well with the book. And that's one of the reasons I think she was the perfect match is she's just um, very creative, very intuitive, and she listens to direction really well. And she's also really good, and this is a compliment. She's really good at telling me how she feels about like what she thinks. And I appreciate that so much because I don't have to wonder, gosh, I wonder if Brylee's upset about this, or I wonder if Brylee would rather do it this way. She just tells me, and if I ask her a point blank question, she'll give me a point blank answer. And I love that about our relationship. Um, that was probably the biggest stretch. Um, I was also um, by several people like warned or suggested, you might want to rethink this because of her age.
Hmm.
And, signing contracts with someone who is under 18 can be a deal, and that's why our relationship with between Tracy and I is so important is because we have that trust factor and we have that relationship that we've built over the last, I don't know, what, we've known each other 10 years or something, 8 years, something like that. Um, and we work together so well that I told my attorney, I said, I'm not worried about it. I'm just not concerned. If Brylee says she's going to do it, she'll do it. I'm not worried. So that was the other obstacle too.
Nice. Yeah, contracts are really fun with a group absolute adults, let alone add the other layer of all of the other complexities. Although it sounds like we're talking to an adult for sure. So that's amazing. So how about you? What's your absolute favorite illustration?
My absolute favorite illustration is the book cover. She did. I told her, I said, this is so important. This is going to make or break our book. And it is our book. I mean, we both have a piece in this. And I tried to explain to her how, to Brylee, how important this particular illustration was. The others are important too, but this one is do or die. And she nailed it. I mean, like, she did such a good job. And then as far as the illustrations on the inside of the book, I I love them all for different reasons, and some of them have spot. I'll look at them just randomly. I'll pull up my photos and be looking for something else and come across those pictures, and I just start chuckling sometimes because it reminds me of the experience I had with the girls. But the one where Sophie is dumping her dirty laundry out on me, and my expression and Sophie's expression is she's just a little a feisty, like her Mima.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so I love the way you captured her expression. That was awesome.
I love the Chubby Bunnies one. That's my
Oh,
favorite,
yeah.
just because um it was so that piece of it was so well written and it made me chuckle and it reminded me of all of those silly games and all of the times that like the just what there's one family experience in particular that it just absolutely mirrored and I just looked at that picture. I was like busting up. It was so good. And it wasn't an easy one to get either because you had all these, it wasn't like a normal resting face or even a smiling face. You had to, pack all those marshmallows in and it's good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was a hard trying for me because I didn't want to go like super far where they're like don't even look like themselves.
Yeah.
It was definitely like a trial and error.
Fun. How about you, Tracy? Do you have a favorite illustration?
I'm not sure off the top of my head which chapter it is, but they're all in the tent. I think it's the girls. It's been a minute since I've looked at this one, but they're all in the tent and just the feeling of it. And then there's this glowing lantern above them. And yeah, it's interesting that we all kind of have our favorite and it might be tied to a memory. I have many memories camping, and so just that feeling of being in a dark tent with this glowing lantern, it felt so cozy to look at that particular one.
Excellent.
We're getting ready to do our Confetti Kingdom stories in that.
Yeah, because now we have not just, I mean, now you're not going to simply be an illustrator of a book series. Now you get to be part of a product launch. I mean, your portfolio, by the time you get to uh, setting up all of those college applications, is going to be kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Really, because it's not just the beautiful art, but it's everything else that is required. Like they already said, the time management and the having to think like a business person and all of those things. So congratulations on this first project, knocking it out of the park. And I can't wait to see what else you all come up with for the adventure boxes and the next book series. And Mima, I'm going to leave the last words to you.
To me, Brylee, thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a good experience. I'm really glad to be a part of it.